to 2000s Childhood Pop. My name is Mr. 96. One of my favorite parts of this series is getting to look back at songs that were integral to my childhood in the 2000s. 6 years ago, I started this series reviewing the Lizzie McGuire movie of all things, and just last year, I reviewed In the End by Linkin Park, one of my favorite bands ever. Hell, I even got to review one of the most iconic K-pop songs of all time several years ago, and to this day, it's one of my most ambitious projects, seeing as it was my longest single-song review in the series until Flo Rida destroyed that record 3 months ago. In a way, this series has allowed me to express my passion for music through my personal experiences. And when I make these videos, I get to talk about songs that inspire thoughtful conversation. This is not one of those times. We are stepping back to 2006 in the era of ringtone rap as we take a look at one of the more notable hits of that time. In 2022, I plan to make 2000s Childhood Pop my main series, but that didn't go according to plan as I only released 2 episodes that year. With this video though, it will be my third 2000 CP episode of 2023, which makes this the first year since 2019 in which I've released more than 2 episodes in a season. In order to accomplish that task, I decided to add some filler episodes of my own choice, seeing as the patron-voted ones take forever to make. So unlike how the last few years involved my patrons voting on songs through a poll, today's song was suggested by me, Mr. 96. It's also a particularly weird one as I hadn't listened to this song probably since that era, but once I heard it again last year, I suddenly unlocked some buried memories like Link in Breath of the Wild. So in many ways, I'm completely out of my depth. But that's what makes me even more excited. Javon Campbell, also known as Jibbs, was born in St. Louis, Missouri on November 13th, 1990. Seeing as St. Louis was pretty popular during the 2000s, with Nelly, Chingy, and even Jay Quan with his song Tipsy in '04, I'm not surprised Jibbs managed to cash in on his window of opportunity. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Jibbs' one hit was what allowed Pop Lock and Drop It from fellow St. Louis native Huey, may he rest in peace, to get big a few months later. At the very least, Jibbs was influential enough to Hurricane Chris.
I go to St. Louis and let my chain hang low. Canary yellow diamonds mixed with rose gold.
From what I can tell, Jibbs was able to get into the rap scene at a young age because he had connections. Apparently, his older brother, named DJ Beats, worked as a producer for Chingy's 2004 album, so Jibbs was able to get his foot in the door and have a hit song by the age of 15. I'm not sure if you could really call this nepotism because I could find almost nothing on the brother. I can find his production credits, but he doesn't have a wiki page, and the producer of Jibbs' hit song is called The Beastas. Allegedly, that's a group with DJ Beats and someone named Reese Beats, and their duo is called out at the beginning of Jibbs' songs. In addition, DJ Beats is a very generic name for a DJ. Hell, when you search online, there's another guy named DJ Beats who has a site for wedding DJ services, and his site is the top search on Google above Jibbs' brother. In other words, the background for this song doesn't fucking matter, so let's get on with the review. Usually with these episodes, I talk about how I first discovered these songs during my youth, but with this song, I can't exactly pinpoint it. Yeah, I definitely remember hearing it as a kid and recognizing the hook, but it's not like I regularly listened to it back then, nor in the 17 years since. If anything, I should be reviewing Walk It Out by Unk, as I definitely remember that one more due to it being the farewell song for crews that get eliminated in ABDC. So why am I reviewing Jibbs? Well, let's address the obvious. For those who don't recognize the melody of Chain Hang Low, this song is based on a nursery rhyme known as Do Your Ears Hang Low.
Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie 'em in a knot? Can you tie 'em in a bow?
I'm sure people recognize this from their childhood. If not, you also recognize it because it uses the melody from an old folk song called Turkey in the Straw. It's a song that always plays when the ice cream truck goes by, and it also happens to be massively racist. I don't want to go too much into this because there are so many uncomfortable layers I'd have to peel, but basically the song had connections to minstrel shows in the 19th century, and the most infamous adaptation of the song came in 1916 by the title of N-Word Love a Watermelon, Ha Ha Ha. Now, do I think Jibbs knowingly used Turkey in the Straw as a marketing ploy to rope in the white audience? Of course not. Why the fuck would he? Maybe his producers knew, but as for Jibbs, he was 15. He was just trying to get a hit record and got on board because it was a pun on Do Your Ears Hang Low. Even before the super racist version, which you shouldn't look up because it'll just make you angry, Turkey in the Straw was associated with blackface performers, and earlier versions of the song were called Yeah. But only in the last decade have some ice cream trucks decided to use a new tune. In fact, RZA of Wu-Tang Clan recorded a new jingle for Good Humor Ice Cream, which was the right move, and if you're an adult who's mad about a fucking ice cream tune getting replaced, get your priorities straight because why would you care? No one buys ice cream because of the jingle. If you do, that's why America's so fucking fat! Yeah, doing research for this episode went down a weird rabbit hole. But I mention all of this because Chain Hang Low immediately catches people's attention due to the nursery rhyme. In fact, when I tried to recite the original nursery rhyme 5 months ago, I literally forgot the original name and just started calling it Chain Hang Low. And that's why I wanted to review this. I've barely listened to this song in the last 17 years, but it must have left some deep-seated impact on me if it managed to sound more natural to my ears than Do Your Ears Hang Low. I guess the obvious answer should be that the song's a banger, right? Okay, let's slow down and look a bit more closely. I was so focused on the nursery rhyme aspects, I forgot that this was an actual rap song with lyrics and shit. But once I sat down and listened to the lines, I have to say, this is an oddity. Let's start with the chain hang low part. Maybe I'm misremembering the fashion of the 2000s, but I don't think anyone actually cares about how long or low hanging your chain is. I thought this might have been an aspect of black culture I was just ignorant about, but if you go onto Genius.com, all they say about the title line is that a long chain is seen as a symbol of status by Jibbs and his crew. In other words, this is something that only Jibbs and his crew see as a symbol of status. Hell, 2 Chainz doesn't even wear chains that low. In addition, why would you wear a chain that long anyways? It looks more like a loincloth than anything. It just reminds me of the 90s and 2000s where dudes were always sagging their jeans or wearing baggy shorts in basketball. Speaking of which, sagging is apparently making a comeback in fashion this year if what I'm reading is to be believed, but even so, no one talks about low-hanging chains unless it's about Jibbs. I mentioned how it looked like a loincloth. Well, I'm starting to think that long droopy chain that he flexes around may or may not be a form of overcompensating, if you know what I mean. I'm aware he's a teenager, so I shouldn't judge him too harshly, but there was no chance of this ever aging well. Michelle Branch was a teenager in her first album, and those songs still hold up fantastically. But even if you think Jibbs did great at 15, his music did not display any potential for future stardom. Rex Xenoblade, he is not. Hell, his debut album is called Jibbs featuring Jibbs like it's meant to show he's all natural, yet his biggest hit was a sample of the fucking ice cream tune. Like most ringtone rap artists, Jibbs would never have a single this commercially successful ever again, and I'm not surprised considering rappers in this subgenre did not have much lyrical prowess. I took a listen to his second song, and despite the attempt, there was no way it was ever going to be as big. It's called King Kong, and it managed to get Chamillionaire of Raiden fame as a guest artist, but this song did not catch on because it sucks. Well, the chorus at least. I apologize to Jibbs if he happens to be watching this because his Twitter bio says Mr. King Kong, but for me, this song got old halfway through the first listen. I get that repetitive hooks are a music trope that will exist until the end of time, but this hook is just an unnaturally deep, pitched down voice repeating King Kong over and over. It's like the chipmunk voice if it had an equally evil twin. I will give credit where it's due in that Jibbs has a decent rap voice, which is saying a lot for someone who was a teenager in his prime. Wow, that was a shockingly depressing statement. The point being, I've heard much worse from people older than him, so he's already better than a lot of his contemporaries. However low of a bar it was. And in certain hip-hop circles, people do consider this Jibbs' second hit song, but 2007 was the last chance Jibbs had to ride the ringtone trend, and he didn't capitalize on it. The trail of Jibbs kind of goes dry after King Kong. In 2007, he had a love song with Melody Thornton of the Pussycat Dolls, which is weird since he was still 16 while she was 22. Then he had a song with Fabo of D4L fame that went nowhere, and in 2009 he had a new mixtape with a song featuring Lloyd that also went nowhere. You know, for an album called Jibbs featuring Jibbs, his singles after Chain Hang Low all had featured artists. The last anyone heard from Jibbs was in 2016 when he tried to go for more of a trap flow. Weirdly enough, the music video says it's by BMG Bragg, which I assume is Jibbs' new rap name. But when I tried to look it up, Google was just as confused as I was. I was curious as to why he essentially disappeared from the music industry after that, and I managed to find a clip of Jibbs in 2021 talking about why he's been absent.
You know, so all that, I just consider like kitty, like I'm hella grown now, like, so nah, like I wouldn't do a show just based off the simple, unless it was on some touring, on some throwback touring type shit, like the Millennium Tour or something like that. But like, as far as me just going to just perform my old songs, like I ain't willing to do it. You can't pay me enough to do it, like.
To summarize, Jibbs was a kid when he signed his record deal, so he didn't exactly have the power to direct his career. Once he got older, he wasn't willing to make any more compromises, so the music industry did him no favors. He even had a song with Bruno Mars in the early 2010s that you can only find on SoundCloud. I had no idea it even existed. Of course, this is all Jibbs saying this, so I can't verify how true this is from other sources, but assuming he's telling the truth, what basically happened was that he grew older. He even says that he doesn't have interest in performing his old songs anymore because he sees it as kiddie shit that doesn't represent who he is as an adult. Like any artist, he gets pretty defensive when people call him a one-hit wonder or two-hit wonder. But even going off what he said, it's clear to see that Chain Hang Low caught on due to the trends at the time rather than his own artistry. I give Jibbs credit in that he at least sounded better than a lot of teenage rap acts I've heard, but no one should be surprised that he never became a household name. One of the reasons ringtone rap hasn't aged all that well is because it was a product of its time. It was good as a ringtone back when cell phones were a hot trend, but like any trend, most people aren't able to progress past that. I can respect that Jibbs didn't want to milk his old sound, so there's still this what happened to Jibbs mystique around it, but that's sadly the downside of breaking through so early. I thought he would at least have a late career blip like Sammy, who was able to have one notable song when he got older, but I guess that wasn't in the cards for Jibbs. I'm not gonna act like Chain Hang Low is a bad song. It's goofy, but that's sort of why I find myself listening to it once in a while. It's a novelty, but for a generation of people, they'll at least have nostalgic memories of this. It managed to stick in my brain, so that at least counts for something. Once again, thank you all for checking this video out, as it's been 3 years since I got to review a 2000 song not tied to a Patreon poll. However, if you want to suggest 2000 songs for me to review, you can join my wonderful patrons on Patreon. For just $1 per video, you can join my patron-only Discord server where we chat and chill, and at $2 per video, you get to vote on what songs I review for my series 2000s Childhood Pop. At $5 per video, you get to be listed in my Names of Fame, and at $10 per video, you get a personal shout through the heart along with Jason Semler and Prideful Zella. Once again, I'm Mr. 96. If you want to see more pop reviews, click the subscribe button below and tap that bell to be notified when I drop a new episode. My schedule's going to be pretty tight since I have my pop anniversary in early September, so I'll see if I can finish my next 2000 CP video by the end of August. August will be a busy month for me, so if I can't get it by then, the video will be out in late September after my pop anniversary. Pop songs may come in numbers, but there's only one. 96.
너의 그 말 그 잔인한 말 가슴 아픈 말 칼날 같은 말 너의 그 말 그 잔인한 말날 울리는 말날 죽이는 말 Everybody breaking